What is going on, everyone? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics. I thought this would be a fun way to look at the recent big signature heritage comic auction. So, if you're not aware, this last week we had one of the big signature heritage auctions where they had huge, expensive comics and art and all that stuff. That's where we had the $13.5 million Frank Frazetta original painting, go for sale, all that kind of stuff. Some really cool stuff that came up for sale. Now, normally I talk about, some big books that sold, some surprise highs, some surprise lows, that kind of thing. But I thought I would approach it a little bit differently this time. So what I was thinking about, because this is one of the things that I track for these sales, was how much did the price jump in terms of percentage? We can talk about value too, once the live bidding started. Because I know I see a lot of people, they'll post things, they'll be like, oh man, this book is really low. Maybe there's a deal out there, that kind of thing. But what you have to realize is, with these auctions, especially the big signature auctions where they've got live auctioneers and that kind of thing, you often get some pretty serious bidding that happens once the live bidding starts. And if you're not familiar with these auctions, what I'm talking about is that these items are up and available for roughly maybe like 2 weeks or so, maybe a little longer than that for the signature ones, before the auction takes place. And people can bid and all that kind of thing. Then you get to the live bidding, where they're going through each individual item one at a time, and people are allowed to bid, and it adds more time to the clock and all that kind of stuff, like a normal auction, like you would normally expect. And so when that live bidding happens, you usually get some pretty big jumps in price. And so for the items that I was tracking, I thought it would be fun to talk about the 5 biggest jumps that I saw in each of the different sessions that they had. So we're going to focus on the comics. I'll talk some about the art too as well, but I know the art isn't as popular. People don't like hearing about the art. So we'll talk about both of those. But just kind of at a high level, in the comic sessions, in the big signature comic session, the first session, the average item that I was watching jumped by 60% when we hit the live sales. The biggest jump was 604%. For the art, the first signature art session, the average jump was 103%, with the biggest jump being 294%. For the second comic session, so a little bit less expensive comics, but still very expensive, the average jump was 61%. With the max jump of 514%. And then for the final one, the final art session, the average jump was 164% with the max jump of 565. So one big thing I noticed there was that the comics jumped roughly, 60% on average. Art jumped over 100%. So the people would be waiting around, hoping to snag that deal. And then it gets, you get just punched in the face when those, when the live bidding starts. You think you're going to steal something, and then the bidding starts and that price just jumps. So we're going to start with this book right here. It's Captain America, number 47, sold for $19,800. Cool Schomburg World War II cover. Before the live bidding started, this book was sitting at $6,000. And that's with the buyer's premium. I'm always talking about with the buyer's premium. $6,000. Jumped by $13,800 or 230%. I also looked at pricing for what I thought these books might sell for, and then how they did. I had this one estimated at $17,000, sold for $19,800. So pretty impressive sale as well. Someone thought maybe they were going to steal this one, and they did not. All right, let's move on to the next item. So the next item was Hit Comics number 24. And so there was this huge set of Mile High Pedigree or Edgar Church Hit Comics that came up for sale. So the 9.4 that sold for $9,600. Prior record, $1,438, obviously a while ago. I had it estimated at $7,000, so crushed that estimate. But before the live bidding started, this one was at $2,400, a jump of $7,200 or 300%. So again, if you are watching those auctions and you think like, yeah, man, I'm going to be able to steal this book. I mean, sometimes maybe you can, sometimes they don't bid up and you get a real good, like under market value buy on that book. But other times you get some big jumps, lots of interest. And these Mile High Pedigree books are always bringing in the views. People they want to own a copy from the Mile High pedigree. It's a very in-demand pedigree. And so definitely a big jump, 300% for this book. All right, we're going to move on to the next one here. So the next book was this new Fun Comics number 6. They're too big to be graded, so they're always sold raw. This one was estimated as a fine to very fine. I don't know if it's a 7.0. I mean, I think maybe a fine. 7.0 feels a little high to me, but sold for $31,200. Before the live bidding started, this was at $8,700. This was a jump of $22,500 or 259%. Someone thought, I'm going to get this one. It just didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, 31,000. This is definitely a book that I think every other copy that's coming for sale, this book is just generally wrecked. It's like 1.0, 1.5 estimated type grades or incomplete or restored. So it is an exceptional copy. I mean, it's from 1935. This is definitely platinum age stuff. But yeah, huge jump, 259% of this one. All right, now we've got the biggest jump from this session. This was 91155. This was from Sensation Comics. Sensation Comics number 12 and an 8.5. I had this one going for $15,000. It's never sold before in grade. I think this is top of census. Let's check real quick. 1 and 8.5, none higher. So yeah, top of census book. Sold for $22,800. So very strong sale from what I thought it would do. Before the live bidding started, this was at just $3,240. Jumped $19,560, 604%. Someone really wanted, to put together that high grade Sensation Comics or Wonder Woman collection, and they paid up for it. Now, like I said, I had it at 15,000. It was sitting at 3,240. If it had gone, that cheap, it would have been an exceptional deal in my opinion anyway, but still a lot of live bidding. Once that bidding started, it's always interesting. People think, like if I don't bid, it's going to stay down there. Now, I will say, if it's already high, you're never going to get a deal, right? Like if it's, so I understand the mentality of not bidding until that live starts. But it is by no means a guarantee that book is going to go low. Now, the 5th book, also Sensation Comics. It was Sensation Comics 19. It was actually just the next sale. A 9.4 sold for $24,000. I had this one going for $16,000. So again, a very strong sale for this book. White pages. Let's see, this one, there's 2 and 9.4, none higher. So not the single highest graded, but it is tied for highest graded on the census. This book was at $7,500 before the live bidding started, added $16,500 in bids, or 220%. So in this first big session, I mean, like I said, the average increase was 60%, but for these top 5 books, we ranged from 220% to 604% in terms of a jump in price from what the book was sitting at before the live bidding started to what it finally closed out at. All right. Next, we are going to jump to the next session of comics. And so there was Archie Comics number 13. So Archie Comics number 13. So these are the books that, I mean, the first session tends to be the biggest books, the most expensive books. This is the second comic session, which are still very expensive. They tend to average somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000, I believe, instead of averaging like $10,000 or $20,000. I don't remember what I had the averages as before, but still very, very expensive books on average. So we're going to jump over. You can see it sold for $6,300. This is just a quick way for me to get to that session over on Heritage. You can see this one sold for $6,300. I had it going for $6,000. Prior record was $12,600, but I think that was a Promise Collection book, maybe something like that. But the big thing there is that Promise Collection book, when that one sold, it was single highest graded. This one was a newly graded book from this Olympia collection. So now it went from single highest graded to tied 2 books at that 8.5 level. And that definitely can have an impact. And so it wasn't the pedigree. So I did expect it to drop some, but also now being 2 up there. But I'd gone for $6,000. Before the live bidding started, this was at $1,980, added $4,320 to get to that $6,300 price, 218%. Big jump. I mean, these early Archies are usually in really, really rough shape. So, I mean, getting something up in the very fine range is not common. Plus, you've got the Betty and Veronica swimsuit type covers, which is always going to be a little bit more in demand for Archie comics. All right, next we've got a Gaines file copy book. So we have this one. This one surprised me. This is a big sale. Weird Science #5 and a 9.6. Not even the highest graded. I mean, there are, look at this, 7 higher. Are they all 9.8s? Let's see if there's a 9.9. There's a 9.9, 6 9.8s. This sale was a shocker to me, but $12,000 for a 9.6. I had this one going for $5,500. Prior high was $2,000. This was a jump of 335%. This book was sitting at $2,760 before the live bidding started. Added $9,240. Big jump. I mean, I've been saying, like, these Gaines file copy books have been getting a lot of attention, but sometimes I just wonder if people don't really, because you've really got to check per book, because sometimes, there'll only be 1 or 2 up at those really high grades. Other times you've got situations like this where, yeah, it's a 9.6, but there are 6 9.8s. There is a 9.9 of this book. And do I think a 9.8 of this book is worth like 30 grand, or 25 grand? I don't. This feels like a very big number for this book. But hey, hopefully the buyer is happy with their purchase. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one, a lot of people have been talking about this sale. This sale, I think, surprised a lot. A lot of people out there. We have House of Secrets, number 123. Bronze Age Horror, 9.8. There are 2 9.8s out there, sold for $13,200. It is a cool cover, right? It is a cool cover. $13,200. Before the live bidding started, this book was at $3,720. I had it going for $8,000. Prior record $7,500. Added 255%. $9,480. This is actually the same book that sold earlier this year for $7,500. It sold, I think, on eBay. I think this is the one somebody had reached out to me about it, and I think they listed on eBay, and it sold like almost right away. So that's why I was like, okay, maybe it'll sell a little higher. There's a lot of demand for it, but $13,200, was not expecting that. But hey, it's Halloween season now, right? So the Bronze Age Horror got to start pushing it, and this one had a big number. I mean, man, like a 9.8. Take a look at this. What's that? I don't know. What? I don't know. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe that's in the case. Maybe that's not a small tear on the cover there. Let's take a close look here. I mean, it's a cool cover. I'll give it that. A little spine tick there. What do you guys think? Think it's a 9.8? I don't know. This is the biggest concern. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's in the case. Hopefully that's in the case. Otherwise it looks like a tear to me. A pretty visible one too, even from a distance. Are there grader's notes on this thing? Let's look. Let's see if there's grader's notes on this. I don't know. No grader's notes. Let's take a look here. Man, that looks like a tear, doesn't it? Looks like a tear to me. Let me know. What do you think in the comments? I mean, it's a nice looking book. It is. I'm not trying to crap on it too much, but it does feel like there's a tear on that top edge there. All right. Regardless, big jump for this book. 255%. House of Secrets, number 123. Bronze Age Horror continues its upward trend, despite it just surprises me. I like it. It's cool. But, man, that's a lot of money for Bronze Age Horror. All right. My Greatest Adventure, number 84. I think this is the second appearance of the Doom Patrol. Let me check here. Featuring Doom Patrol. I feel like it's the second appearance. I don't know. It doesn't say. Maybe it's not, but I think it is. I think this is the second appearance of Doom Patrol. All right, but sold for $3,360, a 9.6. Prior to the live bidding, this was at $547.20. I had it going for $2,000, so a solid sale for this book regardless, but this was a jump of 514%. This one definitely took a big jump. This was the biggest jump of this session that I was watching. So added 514% or $2,812.80 for Doom Patrol. Definitely a series of books that got pretty popular with the TV show. The show was very popular. All right, now the last comic, then we're going to go into some original art. If you want to see some of the cool original art and some of the big jumps that did as well. So we're actually ending this session with a pulp. Pretty cool pulp. This is Marvel Science Stories #1. I think this is like the first time Marvel was used in a title. First issue, iconic pulp series, and represents the first use of of the Marvel logo. Okay, so there you go. So a 7.0 sold for $1,500. This one actually went low, in my opinion. I had it going for $1,800, but before the live bidding started, it was at just $456. So a jump of 229% or $1,044. So big jumps. I mean, again, this one, the average increase was 61% for the session for the books I was watching, but the ones here ranged anywhere from 218% to 514%. So, you never know. You could be the seller and you think like, oh man, my book's not going to sell for much. And then you get all these, these bids, this exciting bidding during the, the live sessions, or you could be the buyer and think you're going to get a deal. And then it just gets snatched away from you. All right, now let's move on to the original art. Okay, here we go. So we are now in the premiere, like the platinum original art session. This is all the really big original art. Like I said, the average increase that I saw for the ones I was tracking was 103%. So even more than what we saw with the comics. This is this Al Feldstein cover, sold for $50,000. I did not price these out. Before the live bidding started, it was at $14,375. So it had a jump of 248%. Cool cover because it's kind of got that the landscape view and instead. So just a pretty cool, good girl art type Feldstein cover, and yeah, really interesting with the black background and everything. You don't see that nearly as often in the original art. Gives it a unique look. All right, then we had this Mike Mignola cover, Hellboy: Seed of Destruction. So this was 94014. Man, his art did exceptionally well in this auction. This one, prior to the live bidding, was at $20,625. Closed out, you can see here, at $81,250, a jump of 294% for a cover from 1994. I mean, incredible sale. His art is definitely becoming harder and harder to get. I have been wanting to get a Hellboy piece of original art for a while, and they keep going for more and more. And so I just never pull the trigger, and it feels like they are getting out of reach. But yeah, really cool. And just a massive jump, 294%. All right, next one here. This was a really unique item that you do not see stuff from this era very often in terms of original art. Action Comics #45 from 1942. You just do not see that early Golden Age original art hardly ever come up for sale. Sold for $200,000. Prior to the live bidding, this was at $68,750, a jump of 191%. I mean, this feels like about right, 200,000. I would have thought maybe even more, just because you don't see this stuff. And so you feel like maybe this is something where people just don't even really know how to value it, just because it is so rare to come across a early Golden Age cover, especially from a major run like Action Comics or Detective Comics, that kind of thing. You just never see this stuff. But yeah, Action Comics #45, $200,000, jumped 191% during the live sale. All right, now the last two in this session from the same artist, another artist that was getting a lot of attention in this auction, Bruce Timm. So this is Bruce Timm, Batman Adventures Mad Love, page 60, sold for $40,000. Before the live bidding, it was at $13,125, so a jump of 205%. I think I don't know if this is the most expensive page. I think there's a Harley Quinn page that maybe sold for more. I don't know. Is it this one? Yeah, this one, 66,000. So, you're going to want Harley Quinn on the page too. Like, that's definitely going to drive more value. It's still a really cool page. But that's why this one I feel like sold for less than the other. But yeah, $40,000, a jump of 205% in the live bidding. And the last original art from this session that we're going to talk about here was also Bruce Timm. And this is also, you're seeing the things that I'm interested in, right? These are the ones that I was watching. And so this was Bruce Timm, the Batman Adventures number 12 cover. This was from, what year did this come out? 2016. So only 9 years ago. Sold for $35,000. Before the live bidding started, this was at $10,312. A jump of 239%. Obviously, this is an homage to Batman Adventures 12, the original first appearance of Harley Quinn in comics, not in continuity. But yeah, $35,000. Bruce Timm getting some serious attention, some serious love in this auction. He had some other stuff that sold for really big numbers as well. There was like a Maleficent original art that sold for a ton of money. So yeah, Bruce Timm getting some big numbers right now. All right, now we're going to jump over to the secondary original art sales. So these are the ones that are, a little more affordable, but still pretty expensive. All right, so here we are on the final 5 pieces that we're going to talk about. This is a John Buscema page from Marvel graphic novel number 38. I just thought this was a really cool, like, cosmic Silver Surfer page. Sold for $8,125 before the live bidding started. This was at $1,312, a jump of 494%, or almost $6,500. So yeah, some really big jumps with this original art that we're going to be talking about, especially in this session. This session had the biggest jumps of all the stuff that I was watching. On average, like I said, it was 164%, the biggest of all. And all the ones we're going to be talking about here are approximately 400% or more once they hit the live bidding. And this wasn't even a live auctioneer. Like, this session is automated. So that, I mean, that's surprising. Like, that even like the automated sessions too are getting these really big jumps. All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is 95132. So this was a Frazetta strip. And so this one before the live bidding was at $718, sold for $3,750, or a jump of 401%. Frank Frazetta was getting obviously a lot of coverage in this auction because you had the $13.5 million piece of original art. You had the other, like the Eerie cover, the Queen Kong that sold for over $1 million, plus a bunch of other incredible Frazetta pieces that were selling for tens of thousands of dollars. But here we have a strip that sold for $3,750, and a big jump, like I said, for this one of 401%. All right, next we had Alex Ross. There was some really cool Alex Ross stuff in this auction as well. So this was it's like a preliminary piece. They think that maybe he submitted this when he was trying to get some initial work. They have a little story down here. Appears to be a study of JLA by Ross that led to the original submission pieces he sent to DC Comics, seeking work from them, and one of his earliest works we've ever offered, from 1992. Really cool piece. I think it's already framed up too. Yeah. So here's what it looks like framed. Sold for $17,500 before the live bidding started. This was at $3,375, a jump of 398%. Massive jump for this one. Really cool piece. Like, like a lot of times when you see Alex Ross, you see a lot of the stuff that feels a lot more digital, like the digital art, and this is clearly hand drawn. Just really cool feel for this one. So I think this is an awesome piece. Like I said, I didn't price these out. I don't know what I thought maybe it would go for, but I think this one is super cool. All right, now we've got J. Scott Campbell. Always popular. So this was this Tinkerbell piece here. So I had been watching this one because there was I thought it was maybe something my wife might like. So I've been watching one in a Comic Link auction maybe like a year ago, and very, very similar piece from the same time frame. It's a slightly different look, but also Tinkerbell. And that one sold for like $5,000. And so I was thinking maybe this one would sell somewhere around the same. Before the live bidding started, it was at $1,625. I was like, oh, maybe it'll go even cheaper. No, not even close. Sold for $11,250. So I was the one that was shocked and disappointed with this one. So it sold for 565% more, a huge jump for this. I mean, J. Scott Campbell plus Disney, Tinkerbell, all this kind of stuff, ended up going huge. But yeah, like when I saw that similar one sell on Comic Link for, you know, like $5,000, and then seeing this one break 11,000, just mind boggling. Actually, I'll try to find that one. I can show you that sale. All right. Yep. So I found it. It was actually even less. So this was the piece that sold for 3,800. This one sold in December of last year, so less than a year ago. So obviously a little different look and feel. You know, it's you know, she's on like the little like kids block there for this one, but kind of like using her wand in this one. But so a little bit different, but still, you know, big difference in price there for relatively similar pieces. So 3,800 versus, you know, 11,250. I do like this one more. I mean, I'll agree. I do like this one more than the other. So that's why I was thinking maybe like 5,000 or 6,000 or something like that. But yeah, 11,000. Very, very impressive sale for that one. Like I said, again, jump of 565%. Right, now for the last one, this was an Alex Maleev painting. I just thought this was a really cool painting. It was not like a super high dollar item, but this was 95522. I just thought this thing looked really awesome. So this is a Silver Surfer painting, sold for $3,125. Before the live bidding started, it was at $525. And so a jump of 471%. So yeah, I just thought this was a really cool piece. I thought it looked awesome. I don't think this one was framed up. Yeah, it wasn't framed up. But yeah, just a really, like the board looked cool and everything. I just really like the color, you know, how you have this like break between like the blue and the orange, everything. I thought it looked great. But yeah, $3,125 and a big jump of 471%. So I just thought this was an interesting way to look at these sales, because, and we're always talking about the final number, you know, the final number that these items get, but it's interesting to see how much bidding actually takes place on some of these between the, you know, the end of the open bidding period, and then you have that live bidding that takes place. And there are some that have some big jumps. There are also ones that didn't jump at all. Like I track like the minimum and the maximum. There are a number that didn't have any jump. It means they got bid up as far as people were willing to pay prior to the live bidding, and that's just where they stopped. But then you have other ones like the ones that we talked about here, jumping generally between 200 and up to about 600% during the live bids. But yeah, you never know what that bidding is going to do when you get down to the wire and people start competing and worrying that they're going to miss out on it. And, you know, you get that competitive nature that goes into it, and you get some of these big numbers. But hopefully enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and I will see you on the next one.